Our team benefits from SyncTimes as we're able to locate each other quickly by using the search option. We can find our equipment.
We had a little bit of a workflow hiccup that we needed to work on. It was difficult to find our team members. It was difficult to communicate patient needs.
And then the same thing with our equipment. I have to say, before SyncTimes, we spent a lot of time looking for equipment.
Now with the SyncTime, we know to look at the monitor. They're going to be right where they need to be.
So before SyncTimes, we would have to wait for our providers to come back to the room, give us the plan of care, and then go execute the plan of care. And if we were not at our station, then they had to remember what they needed us to do while we were in another room and then come back. Sometimes that led to like sticky notes or like instant messaging, which isn't always efficient, and things get missed. And then patients are here for a really long time unnecessarily.
So if you were in a room with a patient and something happened, or you needed help, or you didn't have a utensil, you either left the patient alone to go grab those things. If there was an emergency, you legitimately yelled out of the room for help.
Now that we have SyncTimes, the provider can push an icon that notifies us what they need, so we don't have to meet in the middle if we're too busy to do that. We can utilize the flow station to see this patient needs an x-ray, labs, etc., and then they're good to go afterwards, and it's not a lot of miscommunication and delay of care.
I would say communication has significantly improved between support staff and the provider by having the SyncTime available. Not only are we able to let that support staff person know what we need before leaving the room, but also just smoother transition for the patient.
Before SyncTimes, we called manual codes where you had to pick up a phone and call a code over an overhead page system, and not every room had a phone. So if you had an emergency, you just had to open the door and yell for help, which can be very life-threatening, dangerous if there's a real situation happening. It also was not safe for our staff if they had an aggressive patient in a room.
The way that we call a code is that we can call a code from the room. We don't have to leave the patient alone. An overhead page will go throughout the entire clinic.
It goes to every SyncTime device, and it has a nice little banner, so if you didn't hear what it said, you can see what it said.
So I would say the data that we get from SyncTime alone certainly makes me want to be a provider who is more prompt with my patient.
So we will pull those data for different subjects: patient experience, provider time. Are providers spending the optimum amount of time with the patients? Are their staff using their time effectively to prep the provider to make sure the patient's visit go better? We want to make sure that all the time spent with the patient and prepping for the patient is being utilized, and SyncTimes helps us do that.